Nebraska's been so underrepresented in the media for so long. To see something about Nebraska on your feed, we've been seen over 70 million times now. I can't even believe that it's possible to get that much distribution. 1,000 people showed up. People drove for hours and hours from Iowa and Kansas and all over Nebraska.
Educate, inform, inspire. The Dan Parsons Show, a podcast that lifts up instead of tearing down.
Thanks for tuning in to the Dan Parsons Show. I'm your host, Dan Parsons. Well, it's finally Friday, boys and girls, and that means we get to catch up with my best bud, Chef Kevin Shin, and our very special guest today, JT Martin. But before we launch the Friday Afternoon Club, a special shout out to some of our Friends of Dan, our membership team on Patreon. Thanks to Mike B., Joe S., Rachel, Carrie, Andrew, Darren, Floyd the Barber, Kathy, and the other Darren, just to name a few. By the way, if you'd like to join the team, go to thedanparsonsshow.com to sign up. All right, here's the Friday Afternoon Club with Chef Kevin and our very special guest, JT Martin. Enjoy. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Friday Afternoon Club with my best bud, Chef Kevin Shin. Chef, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. How you getting along, Dan?
Yeah, a lot better now, doggone it. Well, as our audience knows, we talk about the tough current events and politics all week long, and I think all of us are ready by the time we hit Friday to have an adult beverage and let our hair down and unbutton the buckles of our tight pants because we've been eating too much all week long and do something different. So that's what the Friday Afternoon Club is. And I'm thrilled to introduce our guest chef for the day, Mr. JT Martin, a social media expert who runs a pretty successful platform called Corn Belt Media. JT, welcome to the Friday Afternoon Club.
Thanks, you guys. Great to be on. I've been bugging you about coming on, dropping little hints around the office. So thank you so much.
Yeah. JT office is up here at Fuse Co-working, the home of the Dan Parsons Show and Parsons Public Relations. So we've got to know each other a little bit. And JT, maybe before we turn Chef loose and tell us what we're drinking here for the day, what's the 411 on JT Martin?
Oh, man.
And we'll get to some questions that you get to answer here in a minute. But yeah, what tell us about what you do in your spare time when you're making a living.
Well, yeah. Well, people most know me for these viral social media videos of me crushing around Nebraska, looking for crazy things and cool restaurants and things to do. I think I just have a knack for finding cool places, and adventure. And so that kind of spirit has kind of gotten me into, just discovering what the cool parts of Nebraska are. There's Lincoln and Omaha that a lot of people know about already, but like, what else is there? And I've been able to feature that. And people are just so interested in that stuff online. It's like, where are we going to go for the summer? Like, where's our next vacation going to be? Like, you might want to go to Monowai, Nebraska, where there's one woman in the town or,
Anyway. Yeah. Well, we're going to dive into that a little bit, but Chef, as we always do, get us started. What's the drink of the week?
Well, if you've got mint in your yard or it's going to be coming up, and mint right now is any herb that's coming up right now is just going to be extremely fresh. And so now's a great time for mojitos. But as you can see, this looks more like iced tea than it does a mojito, because I call this mojito after hours. And then I'm always asked, why after hours? Because it's dark. It's not light. So, but the way we get that darkness is through an Amaro I use a Verna. A Verna is a great gateway Amaro that's not too medicinal. And then I use bamboo rum. Dark.
Looks like you worked that bottle over pretty good.
Little bit. We've served a few mojitos this last week. But I'll leave you the recipe for it. But super great expression of spring, and that's what I'm always looking for when I cook. Is what are the what are the things that are seasonal that take advantage of the seasonality, but won't be here in a month? So we move on to other things instead of thinking we've got to have mojitos all year round. No, let's have them right now in the spring when they're most dynamic. And then when that's done, let's move on to something else.
Very cool. Yeah, we'll put the recipe in the notes like we always do, and appreciate that, Chef. Yeah. Well, JT, our producers have come up with a set of 4 questions that we ask all of our guests to get to know you a little bit better. And then you get to fire back one to me. And we call it Dan's 4 and you're 1. So if you're ready, Mr. JT Martin, let's dive into this.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Question number 1, where did you grow up?
Where did I grow up? Great question. Well, I'm a 5th generation Nebraskan. I was born in Omaha and spent my early elementary years in Norfolk, Nebraska, actually. And then when I was, I don't remember how old I was, probably 7 years old, my family moved to the San Francisco Bay Area for my dad's work. So
there's a little culture shock from Norfolk to the Bay Area. Yeah.
Tiny bit. Yeah. And, we'd come back for all holidays and summers, and, just getting off the plane in Epley every year is just the best feeling, being surrounded by things we love, like Dorothy Lynch and Runza and stuff. So always missed Nebraska, but I spent most of my formative years in California before coming back here about 5 years ago.
Cool. Well, we're glad you're here. We're glad you came back. That's a cool story. Okay. Growing up, what was your dream job as a kid?
Oh man, my dream job. Well, I always just wanted to play football for Nebraska. That's the only thing I wanted to do when I was a kid, is play football for Nebraska. But apart from that, I think I remember I saw a movie. I think it was Bruce Willis in The Kid is what it was called in the year 2000. I think he was called like an image consultant or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that would be cool to be like PR, marketing, like image consultant. So for some reason that stuck in my head when I was a little kid. And so I kind of thought that, and then I studied, communications when I was in college because I wanted to do something in PR and media. And then here I am.
Yeah, and you're doing it, brother. Yeah, you're doing it big time. That's cool. Okay, question number 3, the most famous person you've ever met.
Most famous person. So when I lived in New York City for a number of years, and I was coming down from a place in the Rockefeller Center. It's called the Top of the Rock. It's like this, hotel bar at the top of this thing. And it was me and my girlfriend at the time. And Martha Stewart stops the elevator and comes on the elevator, and we just ride 30 floors to the bottom with her. And she's talking to us she's talking crap about her friends and swearing and like looking through this gift bag. And, she was a funny, very sarcastic lady.
Interesting. That's fascinating. What year would that have been?
That was 2018, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. An elevator ride in New York's a little different in New York City than it is in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah.
I got a little more time.
We've ridden a lot of elevators in the Fuse building in Lincoln together, but yeah. The Stewarts.
Yeah. Well, actually, this damn elevator here at Fuse is, I think it's the slowest elevator in Lincoln. You probably have that same conversation you had with her on this. Okay, we digress. The last of the fun questions for you. What was the very first concert you attended?
Oh man, very first concert. Well, I grew up very evangelical, and so in junior high, my parents dropped me and my sister off at a evangelical Christian concert at a theme park near my house, and I just remember my calves were so sore the next day from just jumping up and down. And I was so excited to get to go to a concert because I was old enough. And now, like looking back, I frequent like Coachella and Bonnaroo and all these big music festivals now. So, junior high me would probably be very, pleased with how my music taste is.
Well, hey, you've evolved. That's cool. Yeah. I think we all have hopefully evolved in our musical tastes through our life. Okay, you get to fire one back at me.
Okay, awesome. So we all know that PR people, they're kind of behind the scenes. We don't get to see you a lot of times, right? But have you ever actually been like pulled in and become part of a story while you're working for one of your clients?
Let's see. Have the NDAs expired that I can tell the story that I'm thinking about? But you're absolutely right. I've spent my career helping people get noticed or unnoticed. And it's PR 101. You never want to become part of the story. That's not the purpose. You're there to help your client get noticed. But there was a story, and I won't use names just to protect folks. I don't know if they're innocent, but to protect their privacy. And people that are old enough would remember this story. And if you Google it, you can find it out. But it's kind of a bizarre situation. So anyway, I was helping. I'll try to make this short. I was helping someone run for United States Senate here in Nebraska. Someone who was very well known, but he was running for higher office, running for United States Senate. It was during the primary, the Republican primary, and so there were several candidates vying for that nomination for the Republican primary for United States Senate. And there was a debate. I think it was maybe the very first debate. And this candidate was a bit of a cheapskate, which, as a politician or as an office holder, that's always, something that Republicans anyway used to brag about, that, cost cutting and, look at the world we're in now with Doge. But anyway, just think of, so he was too cheap to fly me out to Scotts Bluff to be with him as his communications director for this debate. And at least that's my interpretation of why I wasn't there. So I was back here in Lincoln. He was out in Scotts Bluff with the other Republican candidates for the United States Senate during a debate. Had the debate, kind of your garden variety, vanilla, answer questions, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Nothing really happened. But at the very end of the debate, one of his opponents basically asked him a question of why why my candidate was following this candidate's daughter, preteen daughter, on Twitter, now X. And again, this has been many years ago, so that platform was fairly new. And so it seems like an odd thing now, but back then he tried to make it an issue, a political issue of questioning why this prominent Republican candidate for United States Senate was trying to follow his preteen daughter on X. And he even said, that's kind of creepy. And so my candidate, being the good attorney that he was and sticking to the facts, he said, I don't handle my public relations. I don't handle my social media. Dan Parsons does that for me. And so all of a sudden, I became the creepy old guy.
Mentioning my name. Oh, no.
Mentions my name, Dan Parsons. And again, I'm 400 miles away, sitting in my bunker here in Lincoln, monitoring this debate. The debate ends. They shake hands. They go their separate ways. My phone starts blowing up, the media calling me to see what the hell is this about. So long story short, I spent the next week giving social media seminars to the news media in Nebraska and explaining what this was about. And we ended up flipping the issue, and it became a negative for our opponent. And there were, I think, both the Lincoln Journal-Star and the World Herald did editorials about it. Anyway, he did not come out in a winning posture, and I didn't go to jail. So anyway, there's my story. Thanks for that. That's a long story, but yes, you never want to be part of the story as a public relations professional. You want to be in the background, but sometimes you don't have a choice. Okay, guys, we're going to take a little break here and hear from our sponsor, Howler Haus Comedy Club. We'll be right back. Hey, ever heard of Kenny Banyan? Of course you have. Steve Heitner, best known for his role on Seinfeld, is hitting the stage at Howler Haus Comedy Show on Friday, April 25th for 2 hilarious shows. Get your tickets now because they're going fast. Go to beerhausne.com. That's BIERHAUSNE.com. Or just find us on Facebook. I'll see you there Friday, April 25th. Hey, welcome back to the Friday Afternoon Club with my best bud, Chef Kevin Shin, and our special guest, Mr. JT Martin. JT's a social media guru taking over the world here in sunny Nebraska. And we're going to get to talk about a little bit of what he's up to. But Chef, before we do that, what's going on in your culinary world these days?
Yeah, well, this is planting week. The garden is ready to be planted, and we're just hoping between rainstorms that we can get more seeds and plants in. Gardening is more about just basically keeping up than it is about creativity and being clever, because Mother Nature will not slow down. So like after this rain, it feels like the grass has grown 2 inches right overnight, and things are just popping. So if you're not in place, then Mother Nature doesn't care. She's just going to keep rolling along with the season. So,
and we even had,
really,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we even had a threat of frost the other night.
Yeah, thankfully we are technically still within the frost boundary. So I think officially it's May 15th, and historically May 1st is the safest. But my dad always said, son, if you're not losing plants to frost, you're not planting early enough.
Nice.
And that was his joke of, hey, it's $1.98 for a package of seeds. Go ahead and try to get a jump on the season, get ahead of it. And then if it freezes, then just plant more. So I liked his optimism.
Yeah.
But yeah, so putting a lot of things in the ground yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And because Portico full weekend again. Hopefully the weather will hold out. We had a full weekend last week that we didn't have to cancel anything.
Nice, because last week was your kickoff.
Last week was opening day.
Yeah.
So here we go for another season, number 6.
Yeah, wow, 6 already. JT, have you heard about the Portico? Are you familiar with the Portico?
I love consuming content on social media about Portico. I follow it, and I've been a big fan. Haven't experienced it, but I follow.
Yeah. Well, it's getting too late. Kevin, you said weekends are pretty much booked for the season, right?
Yeah. We have the calendar open from now until mid-July, and then I take a break in July. And most of the weekends between now and then are full. We still have Sunday nights, some Wednesdays open. But it's doing what it's supposed to do, and that's fill up and bring us some business.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about JT's, I think, amazing platform that you're building, the Corn Belt, finding the magic in Nebraska stories about special places, hidden gems, etc. And so, JT, maybe just tell us a little bit about the creation of Corn Belt, where people can interact, and then I want to have this conversation because we're getting into thinking about travel season and vacation season, and so talk about the Corn Belt. I just think you have created something that's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, thanks for saying that, Dan. Yeah, you can find the Corn Belt on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and the handle is at the Corn Belt. And basically, what it is it's short videos, so you only have to watch about 30 to 45 seconds to get a feel for these places that I go. But it's all the different kind of hidden gems across Nebraska. So we'll go out to Carhenge, which like everybody's seen Carhenge before, but have you seen it in this like 30-second kind of highlight reel mashup of like people experiencing it for the first time? And it's kind of has this like kind of gritty, like real, like cell phone footage quality to it. So it feels like you're actually there with me. So instead of some like high polished production, it's like, hey, I'm, buddies with JT. We're going to hop in the car and go out west and see what Nebraska has to offer. So it's been so fun. We've been seen by over 70 million times now, which is just, coming from
Wow.
a background. Yeah, I can't even believe that it's possible to get that much distribution. But yeah, it's been really fun.
Well, obviously you're doing something right. Well, and content obviously is king still. Content's important, but it's also, Chef, you deal with words and to paint a picture. And so, yeah, JT, you are painting this beautiful panoramic picture of places to visit in Nebraska. And it's really caught on. So give us some highlights. What's become some of the more popular destinations that you've highlighted?
Oh man, too many highlights to name, really. But last year there was a rumor that the Northern Lights were going to be visible in Nebraska, right? And so I get on there and say, hey, the Branch Oak Observatory outside of Lincoln, this is a great place to come check out these lights. Like, does anybody want to go out there? Like, I'm going to be out there. Like, feel free to come. And 1,000 people showed up, and people drove for hours and hours from Iowa and Kansas and all over Nebraska to just come be a part of this social media community. That's much bigger than me. It's not, it's not my, writing and, storytelling experience. It's just that just the nature of how social media can spread now, it means that these communities can form.
Yeah. Well, that's how my business got started, JT. Cool. Like in COVID, everybody was cooped up, but they still had birthdays and anniversaries and celebrations. And so some people asked if I would cook for them. And I did. And they took pictures and they posted, and the power of social media took over, and the Portico was born.
No.
I mean, it just like that. My phone starts buzzing. Hey, could you do that for us? And yeah. And so I did that 38 times that summer. So it's weird how social media, if something resonates, it'll connect, and then it'll get shared. My pet peeve with a lot of YouTube channels is, please press that like button and don't forget to subscribe, man. Like, don't beg me for that. If your content is true, people are going to want it. They don't have to be begged to like it. And I think that's what you're finding is like, it's people. What you're creating is resonating with people. Well,
and what occurs to me is, and we have this conversation frequently here on the show because I've dealt with the news media throughout my career. And obviously, I think all of us know that traditional media has changed a great deal in the past handful of years. And so, and Kevin, I know you can relate to this. I think we maybe have talked about this. The old day, you got the two old guys here on the show, JT, but how did we find?
We're learning, JT. Just be patient with us.
How did we learn about vacation destinations back before there was the internet? I think, Kevin, you've talked before about how the old atlases that we used to have in our cars, maps, actual physical maps, and, the whole industry around travel. But back before there was, these tools that we have now. And so, I think it's just our human nature that we want to learn more about the world that we're living in, and how do we do that? And how do we find out about, look at the automobile industry and how, interstate system changed this country and travel.
And how the Michelin guides got started.
Yes. Yeah.
It was an advertisement for tires, but they used places to eat as their means of showcasing their tires. Drive to this town and have this meal, and it's 3 stars, and drive to this town.
And so that name, that had never occurred to me, Kevin. I didn't know. I thought Michelin was some
tires.
I understand it now, but I always thought that designation of a 4-star Michelin restaurant was okay. Yeah, Mr. Michelin, whoever he was back in the day. I did not know that. It was the tire company.
It was tire sales.
Okay.
Yeah. And now it's taken over to where, it is now the guide of fine dining, but that tires don't have as much to do with it.
Well,
they still get the name.
So JT, obviously that's why it's obvious to me anyway of why Corn Belt has become so popular. Because it's our human nature. We want to know what's going on in our community. We want to know what's going on in our state and where we could go and travel and eat and drink and enjoy nature and all those things. And there are less traditional ways to learn about those destinations than there were before, because there's less traditional media, whether that's radio, television, print. There's fewer of those opportunities to tell those stories. And part of the reason that is because of the social media reach. And so you've tapped into something that obviously people are still very interested to learn about attractions and things to do in this great state of Nebraska.
Oh, yeah. And I think to your point, I think it's just that this new form of media, Nebraska has been so underrepresented in the media for so long that to see something about Nebraska on your feed while you're scrolling and to see it get out to millions of people, we kind of latch onto that and want to be a part of it. So social media, it just brings kind of underrepresented voices up. And if you're good, like Chef Kevin, people notice that he's really this amazing chef. It's a new channel that used to just be only confined to the media, Yeah.
Well, JT, I think what you're also doing is you're building on your trust with your viewer, because if someone trusts an opinion or a recommendation and then it delivers, that's gold. That's money in the bank. And I think what you're doing is you're creating that for people, and you're it's kind of an anti-Yelp. When Yelp first came out, I just thought it was awful as an owner, because people just had an axe to grind, and then it started turning into an untrustworthy. Is it just ads? Is there payola involved? That what you're creating is, I want to go see that. I want to go taste that. I want to go be there. And every time I've done that with something that JT recommended, it's been cool. And so you're just building on the trust of yourself. You believe in this destination, and then when your guest or your observer buys into it and they experience it and they say yes. But let's talk about some destinations when we get off the air. I have a few places I'm not sure you've been to yet.
I need all your recommendations. I know you guys know all the good spots, so I need them.
Well, shoot, let's not save it for after hours. Let's do it here. Throw a couple out. JT, maybe start with, why don't you name a couple places that Nebraskans should not miss in this travel season? And then Kevin, you can weigh in and see if there's a couple places that should be added to that list. Let's do that.
Oh, man. Well, there's a couple loops that I like to make that I think people should definitely do. I think people need to go down and do the Nebraska City, Brownville, Indian Cave State Park loop.
Yes.
The rolling hills down there. It's so beautiful, right on the river. I go crazy for it.
Cool. Yeah. Chef, what?
One of my favorite destinations on my day off is to go to Farinay Bakery out in Ashland. It's 25-minute drive from here. Go out 34, take Highway 6. It's a beautiful, beautiful hometown bakery that's elevated. They have beautiful croissant and other pastries. It's a fun little just destination. Drive out, have a coffee or wine if you're in there later in the day. It's such a gem, and I go out there because I don't want it to close. But I love going out there. I take my writing and my computer and but it's so close to Lincoln, but not so close that it becomes familiar. You got to. Let's plan to go out there, and I would definitely recommend anybody go to Faraday if they haven't been there before.
I feel sorry for the people who only experience Nebraska on I-80, driving from Kansas City to Denver or Chicago, however you get through Nebraska. I feel sorry for those people, because if you're just driving on I-80, you're really missing out on the best parts of Nebraska. And all of us who live here know that. My parents lived in the Sandhills. Both my parents were from the Sandhills, Valentine and Ainsworth. And, that's one of the most unique geographical destinations in the world. There's nothing else like it in the entire world, the Sandhills of Nebraska. And again, sand and hills, it's like, I don't know that sounds very cool, but it's an amazing. And one of my favorite destinations and activities is going to the Sandhills. And I know there's been now organized events, because the Sandhills of Nebraska continues to be in North America one of the best, the least light pollution of anywhere in North America. And boy, you see the universe, you see the galaxies, you see stars that you've never seen before.
Well, you see stars between stars.
Yeah.
You see the stars you recognize, and then you see a million others between them, and it's unreal.
Yeah. Well, JT, as we wrap up here, remind our audience of how they can find you and interact with you. Oh, before we do that, I just want to brag a little bit more. This is an award-winning project that you've started, right? You've got some stuff on the mantle to show for your work, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's over there in my office. I should have brought it on and put it behind me. But yeah, I won the Visionary Award from the Tourism Commission 2 years ago now. Back kind of right when things were getting started and getting rolling, but always awesome to be recognized. I don't appear myself on camera a lot of times. I kind of let the scenery and the destinations do most of the talking. So it's nice to get to, have your name put out there every now and then.
Very cool. Well, we'll be watching Corn Belt. Check it out, kids. It's great to have you on, JT, and you didn't have to beg that hard. You didn't beg at all.
Yeah, there's like Matt Wynn and Joe Cruz and Brent Comstock, all these cool guys on the show. I'm like, I got to get on this.
Yeah. Well, you're here. You're an alum now. Chef, you got a word for us to get us out of the day?
Yeah. Last week, I talked about sharing thoughts at Ignite Lincoln last Thursday. And I'm still on the topic of anger, and it's a very important subject to me to try to communicate thoughts accordingly in fewer words. That's kind of what I like to do. Is can I synthesize a thought, maybe even a complex thought, into a few words that make sense? And so anger has been that topic for me for several weeks, and I get some pushback or feedback. And well, what about, is anger always wrong? And I said, no, anger is never wrong. I mean, anger is anger. Anger is an emotion. It's a human expression. But when anger goes awry, that's when we have problems. And so today's post I made, when righteous anger divorces itself from love, it reverts back to an eye for an eye. So it doesn't matter what the anger is driven by. If it is not coupled with love, it's destined to fail.
That's a great message, Chef. As always, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing in this community. And JT, keep going, my man. I'm really thrilled to have you on the show, and we'll do this again. We'll be watching. Hey, thanks, Chef and JT, for helping all of us get this weekend started. And boy, howdy, that was a great chat. In fact, we had so much to talk about. Producer Ike kept the camera rolling for some bonus content.
Would you guys ever consider bringing it back?
Never say never, Dan.
That's right. Never say never.
There's always temptations in social media to over exaggerate or play with wording that might feel a little bit disingenuous just to get more views and more reach.
If you'd like to see the full after hours segment, hop on over to thedanparsonshow.com and become a friend of Dan. Thanks to the producer of the Friday Afternoon Club, Ike Samanis, Penology Tech Solutions for their technical help and equipment, Kim Remington, Parsons Public Relations Director of Operations, and most importantly, thanks to each of you for listening. That's the show. Thanks for tuning in. Now go do good things. I'm Dan Parsons.